Hello and welcome to BloxLive TV. Today is Monday, May the 27th. We're now live with the latest in the crypto world. Well, it's 9:30 a.m. in New York City and 2:30 p.m. in London, 10:30 p.m. in Tokyo and 3:30 p.m. here in Malta. Well, we're joined by our crypto experts Jason Fernandez and Jeff Hancock later today. But first, let's take a look at some of the market indicators as the total market capitalization printed a fresh high for the year at more than $270 billion US. Well, let's start with the cryptocurrency index CCI 30, which has surged above the $4,300 point mark. Well, the index is up nearly 50% so far in May and has doubled in value year to date. Now moving on to the 30-day Bitcoin volatility index, which spiked above the 4% mark last Monday. It's stayed above this ground and this level since then. While trading activity has increased today, the CoinMarketCap website's 24-hour traded volume indicator has jumped above the $90 billion level. The Bitcoin dominance indicator has edged north of the 57% mark as the price of Bitcoin surged. The top 5 digital assets are all trading sharply higher. Bitcoin has finally broken through the $8,000 resistance level to settle around the $8,700 price range, while the Crypto King printed a fresh high for this year. Ether has gained the ground as well as it's facing resistance around the $270 mark. XRP has jumped above the 40-cent psychological level. Bitcoin Cash has rallied after breaking through the $4,000 line. Litecoin has returned to the 5th spot by market cap. A double-digit gain puts the price of this altcoin at more than $110 US. Now let's take a look at the Coin 360 heat map showcasing the bullish sentiments that are driving the markets today. According to the Token Spread website, Bitcoin trades at a 4% discount on the XMO exchange. The CX exchange has the biggest single market spread of 0.24%. Well, now we continue our quest to explore crypto project characteristics, and today we'll take a look at Clipper Coin Capital. So it's a financial ecosystem providing market players with asset rating system, investment research and traditional investment banking services to the ICO market. Well, Clipper Coin Capital has issued the CCCX token for ecosystem incentives, trading rewards and also payment methods. The token currently trades at just slightly more than 1 cent. It hit its all-time high of just under the 4-cent mark earlier this month. We'll now review the various performance of the cryptocurrency asset classes as grouped by the Messari website. So starting off, the infrastructure group shows the biggest increase. As we take a look, it's up nearly 4%, as a majority of the assets are in the green. The media and entertainment category is the only class trading in the red with a slight decline. This is despite having plenty of greens on the table. The financial sector is up by more than 2%, and most of the assets are trading higher. The currency category is one of the top advances with a gain of just under 3.6%. While lastly, the services section posts an increase of nearly 2.6% today. The Dent and the Mative coin projects are some of the top bullish drivers. Well, that's where the 5 major cryptocurrency categories stand so far on this Monday. We'll now provide you with an overview of the most significant moves among the top 100 digital currencies. There are plenty of sharp increases as a majority of the assets are trading in the green. Well, those were the top 24-hour moves so far on this bullish Monday. We'll be right back with our guests after a short break.
180 different countries all around the world, which makes us grow in like a sphere.
We are stronger than ever.
Have these questions answered without disclosing anything.
AI field is mostly controlled by a few large corporations.
Much busier, bigger than ever.
In the mid-2020s. I do think that will come.
We should kind of keep in mind that we want the world to be a better place.
$15 billion a day. This is incredible.
People find a way to create infrastructure.
I think knowledge is one of the most important things in the world.
We laid the foundation for the distributed trust model that Satoshi builds on.
It does come with some risks, but at the same time, I think it's an opportunity for countries.
Individuals miss the boat on a market, they miss the boat. When the institutions miss the boat, they bring the boat back.
This is BloxLive TV.
Blockchain is not just a technology, but also an investment opportunity. So would you like the opportunity to pitch your company to high net investors with yearly collective investments in excess of $100 billion? Monaco Blockchain Conference is being held in Monte Carlo, Monaco on May the 31st, 2019. The event brings together 100 leading investors, funds and family offices to discuss the what, the how and the why when it comes to investing in blockchain. The one-day conference will have speakers from leading investment funds and guests like Giuseppe Ambrosio, president of the Monaco Single and Multifamily Association, Oliver Harris, head of crypto asset strategy at JP Morgan Chase, and Sean Broderick, general partner at SOSV. The event will have media coverage from Forbes Monaco post-event. BloxLive TV and Cointelegraph will be live broadcasting, reaching millions of potential clients. Conference passes start from €199 and include the full access to the conference, lunch on the Sun Terrace and champagne investor networking. If you're interested in becoming a partner, you'll have the opportunity to reach over 14 million people per month leading up to the event and gain massive exposure to investors during the event by becoming a partner, as well as partner branding at the hotel during the conference. Partners will have 30 minutes to present their company as an investment opportunity with support before the event to ensure the best chance of raising some serious capital. You'll be pitching to over 40 investment funds, 30 family offices and 80 high net worth investors. Their collective investments each year is in excess of $100 billion. Partnerships is €3,000 for 2 tickets. All the day activities include plus access to the investor cocktail party. For 15% off ticket prices, use the discount code below and see you in Monaco. Well, we're back with our crypto experts, Jason Fernandez, COO and co-founder of AE Token, and Jeff Hancock, CEO and co-founder of the Get FIFO Exchange. Well, thank you both so much for joining me on the line today.
Thanks for having us.
Great to have you both. Now, we're going to jump straight in because we have to talk about what we have seen with Bitcoin and the price movements. We did see this resistance that we spoke about last week around this $8,000 mark. Well, Bitcoin's actually finally broke through that and surged to print a fresh high for this year. Is it a sign that this move was made by some bigger players because it happened so suddenly and on an otherwise fairly calm Sunday? Jason, I'd like to start with you.
So I think the important thing to note is that this price rally was accompanied by a large uptick in the 24-hour trading volume. So something like an increase of $10.3 billion was added overall. And that's according to CoinMarketCap. But even if you choose, the real 10 volume, even that was unusually high. It was something like 3.1 billion. And so that indicates that basically Bitcoin was starting to take off on the backs of really, really large volumes. And I think if that picks up, there's really no limit to how far it could go. I mean, when you have like rising volumes and you have an uptick in the price, that bodes really well for a cryptocurrency.
And Jeff, what was your thoughts when you saw the moves that we did see over the weekend, and particularly on Sunday as well?
Well, in the UK, here was a long weekend, and sometimes Sunday afternoons or really, really late Sunday nights. We've seen some moves in the past. I was actually up late last night watching, catching up to TV episodes, and I saw a lot of alerts coming through on the various Telegram groups of this setup that's been kind of happening for the last 2 weeks or so, bumping up against that 8,000 level. We've been posting lower lows and lower highs and higher lows. So the price has been slowly compressing into this little area. And there was a huge amount of leveraged longs going through the market and not that many shorts. So seeing it pop up so violently and so quickly is kind of not surprising, but I suppose you have to be there, in the charts all the time to be able to see it and capitalize on it.
So in light of that then, let's look forward. And Jeff, I want to ask you, where do you see the price of Bitcoin heading now from here? Are you expecting it to hit $9,000 and could it even make it to 10?
Well, the crypto market, especially Bitcoin, will always do the opposite of what the public thinks it might do. I mean, this is kind of the third kind of really large vertical rise we've seen since April. If you scroll out quite a way and look at from December until December 2018 to now, we had a really, really similar rally between September and November of 2017. Went from, in 3 months, we went from 3K all the way up to 8.5K, and then within 4 days we were back at 5K again. So the market can turn around really, really violently. And I think because we've seen some of this near vertical trending, we haven't really established a really safe bullish market yet. We've just seen nothing but verticals. So I'm still a little bit cautious on the bullish side. I think when a market goes up this high, this fast, it can come down just as fast. So I think we will still see those kind of 9 and 11Ks maybe by the end of the year. But I think it's pretty crazy if we went up there now without any sort of more established price trends.
And would it actually concern you a little bit if it did go up higher past the points that we have seen, and if it went up quite rapidly as well? Would that give you any cause for concern, Jeff?
I wouldn't say concern. I just think it's a really healthy bull run to see it go from 3K to above 9K really, really quickly. I mean, we look at the bull market from 2018. It went up to 20K, and everyone was very euphoric. And then we went straight to despair as soon as people started losing some money. So while the green is good and the gains are there, people should be taking profits every step of the way.
And Jason, what's your thoughts on this? What are you expecting now from here? Are you expecting it to move up slightly, or are you expecting this to be a kind of a new support level? Where are you seeing the price from here?
So I think it will go up. Jeff is right that we've just seen meteoric rises. It hasn't really stopped to take a breath to where we really can say that this is where Bitcoin is at for right now. But we have seen micro examples of that where it sort of stopped around 8,000. It stopped around 8,000, then it dropped down, and then it sort of picked up momentum and past that. But he's right in that it's not stopped for long enough to where we can consider that a baseline. It's just sort of been going up pretty consistently. I think it will continue to go up until it hits at least 10,000. In my guess would be in the near future. And I think the road to 10,000 from 8,000 is much shorter than the road from, let's say, 6,000 to 8,000. So there was supposed to be a key resistant area around 8,300, 8,400, but we've blown right past that. And I expect it will hit 10,000 soon. One analyst recently pointed out that the long to short ratio on certain platforms was still short heavy. And the point he was making was regarding, essentially a short squeeze situation. And that's when shorts on futures exchanges close their positions or get liquidated. And in those situations, they must purchase the short sold asset on the spot market. And that would theoretically create a demand for Bitcoin and an influx of buying pressure. And that should result in a move higher, particularly if volumes stay high. And in fact, there's a theory that there was a massive short squeeze that took place over a number of days, and that's actually what brought Bitcoin to 8,000 from 7,000. So the theory is that could very easily get it to 10,000 and above.
And now we've talked about Bitcoin. I do want to move on to talk about another token. If we look at Litecoin now, because the mining reward halving is expected in 70 days for Litecoin. If we look at price movements moving on from that, so the asset surged from $30 right at the beginning of this year to more than 110 US dollars currently. So Jason, I want to start with you. Is this something that we can use as an indicator for the Bitcoin halving, which is now just less than a year away?
I think there's a big difference because, Litecoin has seen, Bitcoin will always, obviously, right, whenever it halves, it's going to be, it's going to see a pop. Litecoin is somewhat of a unique situation because there has been a lot of bullish news lately, particularly in the realm of privacy and security. They've been making a lot of moves in that area. There are also general indicators, fundamental indicators that are really good for Litecoin. So you see average transaction volume as going up. So on May 16th, that was something like 47,000, and that's still not as high as it was, when it was at 65,000. But it's still an increase from 7 or 20,000 per day, which is what we were seeing just recently. So it seems like some of the indicators are increasing. Also, active addresses on Litecoin networks reached something like 129,000 in April. Now, and that's from a low of 50 before that. But now, as of 27th of May, that's decreased to something like 65,000. But that's still pretty high overall. So overall, there've been a lot of good news. There's a lot of good news coming out of Litecoin, but even the Litecoin director recently said, Franklin Richards, who's a director of the Litecoin Foundation, recently said that essentially the price has sort of run away, and the on-chain metrics aren't really quite catching up. And while that's positive, the growth is always positive, it's probably not sustainable, and essentially we could see some sort of pullback happening soon, or we could see another bubble.
And Jeff, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. If we look at reward halvings as an example, and Litecoin is, as we've spoken about, 70 days away, and we have seen some interesting price moves, to say the least. Can you put that also into the context and use it as the example for Bitcoin as well, which their reward halving is less than a year away?
Well, if you look at halving as a topic, it's only happened a handful of times. And every time that halving has happened, the market is completely different. We've got different levels of liquidity. We've got different platforms. We've got different players, different FUD, different hacks, different stuff going on. But, if you look at a halving cost, what the price of Litecoin or Bitcoin is now, and their halving is out in the future, by the time we get to that halving, usually all of that price gain is already priced in. The only thing that changes between now and then is your opportunity cost. What is my money going to be invested in up until that halving? Am I, anticipating quite a large rise? Is it going to be quite volatile, or is, the price right now, is it already priced in? And so between now and then is really just opportunity. I think, look back in the past for some of the Bitcoin ones, we've seen, a slight rise up until that halving point. No one can really predict the price after that. But then you get into supply and demand. There are not enough Bitcoins to go around. So naturally, will there be a price rise between now and the next halving? Yes. Where's it going to go between now and then? That's the big $1 million question in it.
And now if we also take a look at Bitcoin, and actually the price movements that we have seen, it has outperformed traditional stocks this year. Massive increases we have seen of more than 100%. So Kevin Godbold of Motley Fool shared his thoughts on a recent article. He considers that actually it's a dead cat bounce. And the author thinks it's a much better opportunity for successful speculation and investments exist in shares and share-backed investments. So Jason, I'd like to start with you with this. Do you agree with these thoughts?
So I think first that's a really uncharitable description for cat lovers, but I disagree with the view in general. I think his logic is flawed. So I read the article. He said that essentially one of the points that he made was that speculators lack the predictive tools with Bitcoin to try to figure it out. But in fact, that's totally not true. There's umpteen indicators you can look at. You can look at active addresses. You can look at timing. Basically how long the Bitcoin transactions are happening, like how many transactions per second, for example. You can look at adoption. There's so many metrics that if you're actually paying attention would would basically translate to an increase or decrease in the price. So his point is that with shares, you can look at valuations and gauge an underlying business, and if its assets are priced cheaply, etc. The very same thing can be done with cryptocurrencies. He's just not really taking the time to actually look at the companies and actually research it the way it ought to be researched. So absolutely, there are indicators even with cryptocurrencies. Another thing he points out is he says buying begets more buying, and so essentially he's saying that it's all FOMO. It's all basically people fearing that they're going to miss out, and so they're all piling on. But that doesn't explain the initial spark, nor does it explain the consistent gains that we've seen. So I think that this is probably from a perspective of somebody who is really not an expert on cryptocurrency and really hasn't taken the time to research what makes cryptocurrency companies valuable, what makes what role adoption, transaction speeds, and transaction costs, or even active wallets, what role those metrics play in whether cryptocurrency is likely to take off or not. Somebody who really hasn't researched that will probably come up with this view.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for that, and probably one of the best jokes that we've had on crypto now so far. Jeff, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with Jason here? Do you agree with the author Kevin and his thoughts? Well, what's your thoughts?
I'm definitely aligned with Jason as well. I mean, if you look purely just on his point about the research metrics, a really, really good one. You can look at all the wallet addresses. You can see where the wealth is. You can see where capital is flowing and move around. If you go and do the research, there are more and more visual tools out there to go and see what is moving around. There's more news sites out there that are actually genuine, legitimate news, not just FUD and paid articles. There are more better players coming to the space to kind of clean all that kind of scam stuff up. You look on the flip side, you look down at the stock market stuff. I mean, if you're investing in a stock or a share or some sort of bond through your trading account or through your SIP or your 401k or whatever it is, you're buying a bit of paper. You're buying a paper asset. You're not going to end up on the cap table of that business or that company that you've bought into. You're doing it through the platform you're trading in. So in fact, it's a layer further away than doing it with crypto. At least with crypto, you own the asset. You're your own bank. So I think there's a massive transparency problem in part of the stock market, and let's not forget as well that there's a lot of record buying back going on in the stock market at the moment. So while Bitcoin's done a lot better and the stock market's more established, the reason they're seeing big rises right now in the S&P is because a lot of businesses are buying back their own stock to create scarcity. So without that proper information and right balance, I'll stick to what I know, and I won't go and dabble in S&P, but I'm not going to go write an article about investing in stocks and shares. So yeah, definitely on what Jason's just said. Yeah.
Okay, and just finally now, I would like to end this segment by talking about the price of Bitcoin SV as well, and the movements that we have seen from then. So we have seen Bitcoin SV surge past the $100 mark. This is as Craig Wright is filing for a Bitcoin white paper copyright in the US. The asset surged further above this level once again today. And Jason, I'll start with you just quickly. Do you think there's any explanation for this bullish performance that we have seen?
So there's no explanation. I mean, basically, it jumped up. We saw it pop up when Craig Wright was able to file a copyright for the Bitcoin white paper. But literally, the Copyright Office eventually came out and explicitly said that they did not think that they had not really gone on and investigated, and were not confirming that Craig Wright was in fact Satoshi Nakamoto and that he just registered. They actually came out, which is a rare move for them, but they actually came out and put a press release out, and that didn't really see much of a change. It didn't really drop back down. I think that it's just got a major PR problem, particularly with the way Craig Wright has behaved, and I have no idea how it's managing to stay up, and I think it could probably go down soon.
And Jeff, what's your thoughts as well? Are you in alignment with Jason here? What's your thoughts on these Bitcoin SV interesting price moves?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, they saw a huge amount of bump in value, and most of that volume came out of Korea. I don't know why. I don't know where the fan base is there, but I mean, a lot of it's completely unfounded. I mean, the whole market saw big rises the same day, and 9, kind of 10, 12% for some other alts. And there has been, if you're a pure trader that just trades any token, regardless of what it's called or what it does, there was actually a really nice bullish flag set up on that. So there would have probably been a lot of people laying into long positions at the same time. But Craig Wright's been on this kind of tear since about 2015, saying that he's the author of the white paper, but he hasn't done anything with it until now, until 2019. So why the 4 years waiting? And in my opinion, just like Jason said, the copyright does not say that he's Satoshi, and he's given a whole bunch of wallet addresses that he hasn't proved ownership of, and he hasn't done any transactions from. And these are in the first 70 blocks of the blockchain. Like these are, these are proper foundation level, and he hasn't proved anything else on those addresses or the ownership of them. So I think the whole pump is kind of completely unfounded. I think it's a PR thing, just as Jason said, gone a bit wrong. But he just has a really, really loyal following, which is pretty true of a few projects still in this space.
Well, thank you both for your insights. We'll definitely have to keep a close eye and update as it goes on. Thank you so much for your time today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the live show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, before we sign off, I do have a last-minute update from our editorial staff regarding the crypto markets. Crypto markets have been trading sideways during the recent hours. The total market capitalization stays close to the $270 billion territory, while trading activity remains elevated and the CoinMarketCap website's daily volume indicator stands north of the $90 billion level. The price of Bitcoin has stabilized around the $8,700 US mark. Well, that's all for this Monday's Crypto Now live show. We thank Jason Fernandez and Jeff Hancock for their expert analysis. I'd also like to thank you, the audience, for joining us, and invite you all to accompany us every weekday at this same time.